Here I'm moving on to the handle. So you see me taking just all those details that go into the handle. I'm just completely erasing them. I wasn't entirely sure how low I wanted to go with this thing, but I went pretty low. Of course, I took the subsurface modifier and just turned it off. It's still actually on the model, I see, but I did turn it off. And I'm dissolving and taking away most of the edges that don't really affect the overall shape that much. And here you see I'm actually reintroducing a little bit of geometry because the base of the subsurface modifier wasn't really it wasn't enough. But yeah, for the most part, I'm just taking away a lot of geometry and collapsing and doing what we've been doing with the other objects. So it's all about just angling your camera to see how the surface is working, and then flipping between the high resolution and the low resolution just to see how it works. And here you see I'm removing all that geometry that is inside there, and I'm going to combine those two meshes together because they are separate. And initially I thought that it was important to have that little lip there. And you see that I'm combining it all together. But I realized that, you know, that little handle thing, that little lip that is coming out, it's so minor, it affects the silhouette so little that I actually end up just taking it away. So you see here I'm just sliding all those edges up and just just taking it away and removing the doubles. And here you see it's just, you know, a matter of cleaning up the geometry a little bit just to make sure that it doesn't look too bad. So based off the shading, like when you set the shading to smooth, then you can see how messed up the engons are. And I try to generally not have too crazy, like the artifacts are pretty bad on this thing. So I'm trying to make it not so bad, but the normal map will still work with that stuff. It's not that big of a problem, but yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. Here you see that most of the details of this magazine is actually is on in that little hole, and it doesn't really affect the silhouette very much. So I decided that, you know what, I might as well just take all of it away, and I'm left with a much simpler mesh. So that's just a very simple way of, or becomes a very light model. Of course, it depends very much on the type of model that you're making. If it's something that is more of a hero prop, then maybe you don't want to go this extreme. But in this case, I find it to be fine. It actually works out pretty okay. And you see, I'm left with a huge engon, and again, it's not that big of a problem. I just use the triangle modifier, and that solves that in a nice, predictable way. Oh yeah, these, by the way, are just the little knobs on the magazine, and of course you need to make sure that these cylindrical shapes, they don't have, you know, crazy amounts of polygons. But you see, when you see the gun from this distance, it looks pretty close to the high resolution. It's not that big of a difference. Here you see there's a lot of geometry that is intersecting with the gun, and that is very unnecessary geometry. As far as polygons go, it's not that doesn't matter so much the wasted polygons per se, but I mean the wasted polygons are not the biggest problem or the thing that I'm thinking about the most. It's actually texture texture space. There's no reason for me to have these extra polygons just because of the wasted UV space. So I'm trying to delete and not have any overlapping geometry. It's also potentially a bit of a problem for something called sea fighting. You can, in some extreme cases, you can have a geometry that kind of fights or sea depth buffer fighting, and that's something that you generally want to avoid. So here, exact same process, just selecting all those faces and then just merging them together. And there you see that little shape didn't really affect the silhouette very much, so I just simplified it a little bit, and then of course removing all the interior edges. So yeah, that's basically it. I could work on it even more and push the triangle count even further down, but this is where I'm ending it on for this video tutorial at least.